I was already halfway settled. Sweatshirt on, phone on silent mode. The couch was making strong arguments for canceling every plan. Then a message lit the screen, 3 words changed the evening. Come with us, and somehow that was enough. Funny how close I came to missing this. I almost stayed home tonight, almost let the evening pass me by, almost traded possibility for another ordinary night. But something told me not this time, and I'm so glad I listened. I almost stayed home tonight, and look what I would have missed. Hours disappeared without permission. Stories grew around the table. One joke lasted half the night, and somehow kept getting funnier. Nobody was trying too hard, nobody needed a reason. The kind of night that happens naturally and stays with you afterward. Some memories begin with hesitation. I almost stayed home tonight, but the world had other plans. A handful of simple moments turned into something grand, and now I'll remember this feeling the next time doubt appears. I almost stayed home tonight and nearly missed the year. The person smiling at the checkout, the stranger waiting for the train, the friend who always changes subjects when certain topics come around. Entire worlds move beside us without becoming visible. Stories continue underneath what anybody gets to see. The truth is usually deeper. Everyone is carrying something, a memory, a dream, a fear, a question they haven't answered, or a reason they're still here. We never know the whole picture from a passing glance alone. Everyone is carrying something, we just don't always know. A little patience changes everything. A little grace goes far. The smallest act of kindness can alter someone's afternoon, because every life contains chapters invisible from the outside. Battles fought in silence, victories nobody applauds. Compassion begins with imagination. Everyone's carrying something, and maybe that's what connects us more than differences ever could, or labels ever will. The world becomes a softer place whenever we remember this. Everyone is carrying something and doing their best with it. Hours slipped away unnoticed. rest while stories kept unfolding. One topic became another, then another. After that, nobody checked the clock until somebody finally laughed at how quickly time had disappeared. Without our permission, the best evenings ignore schedules. The night ended too soon, before we were ready, before the conversations finished, before the laughter settled. Some moments deserve a few more hours than they get. The night ended too soon, and that's why I'll remember it. The room still carried echoes of everything we shared. Dreams, mistakes, ridiculous memories mixed together naturally. Outside, tomorrow was waiting, but nobody seemed interested in trading the present moment for the next one yet. Certain nights refuse to become ordinary. The night ended too soon, but maybe that's the reason it stays glowing in my memory long after it's over. And even now I can feel the warmth of that goodbye. The night ended too soon, for a very good reason. The goodbye started an hour ago, or maybe even longer. Every attempt to end the evening created a brand new subject. One final thought became 10 more. One last story led to another. The night refused to cooperate with our plans to go home. Nobody seemed in a hurry. We kept missing our cue to leave. Every farewell turning into more. Another laugh, another memory waiting behind the door. The conversation had momentum. None of us could stop. We kept missing our cue to leave, and nobody really wanted to. Tomorrow waited patiently beyond the edges of the night, but the present felt too good to trade away just yet. Friendship filled the empty spaces between every passing minute, until the hours disappeared without anybody noticing. The best endings take their time. We kept missing our cue to leave, and somehow that became the point. Stretching one gray evening as far as it could go. Years from now I'll still remember how hard it was to say goodbye. We kept missing our cue to leave, and I'm glad we did. For a while looked exactly like today. The colors hadn't disappeared, they just felt harder to reach. Then one morning something shifted, without explaining why. A spark returned quietly to places I thought were empty. Hope has a gentle way of arriving. Looking forward to things again feels like opening the curtains after forgetting how much sunlight was waiting outside. The future stopped feeling distant and started feeling alive. Looking forward to things again feels good tonight. Ideas begin collecting like stars in a clear sky. Plans that once seemed impossible start sounding reasonable. Excitement returns in pieces, small enough to trust, until suddenly the world looks full of opportunities. Every season eventually changes. Looking forward to things again makes everything brighter, not because life became perfect, but because possibility returned. And now I welcome tomorrow with curiosity instead of doubt. Looking forward to things again feels like finding my way out. A garden doesn't notice the exact moment it begins to bloom. The roots do their work in silence long before colors appear. The same was true for me. Changes happen beneath the surface, while I kept looking for proof in the wrong places. Progress was happening anyway. Nothing changed overnight, but everything changed eventually. One small step leading another across the years between. The distance grew so gradually I almost couldn't see. Nothing changed overnight until I became somebody new. Patience learned to share a room with ambition and hope. The rush to arrive somewhere slowly loosened its grip. Days stacked on top of days, building something stronger than any sudden breakthrough could have created alone. Time is often doing more than it reveals. Nothing changed overnight, and I'm grateful for that, because every lesson had time to become part of me. Ooh. what made it last. There was a time when every dream looked like a distant shoreline, visible only in flashes beyond the edge of sight. Now the outlines are clearer, the details slowly forming like dawn, revealing landscapes hidden through the night. The horizon keeps moving closer. The future doesn't feel so far away. I can almost see it now. Not as a perfect destination, but as a path I'm learning how. Every small step matters, every choice leaves a trace. The future doesn't feel so far away. It's already taking shape. What once felt overwhelming now feels exciting instead. The unknown hasn't disappeared, I've simply stopped fearing it. Momentum builds quietly in moments easy to overlook, until one day you realize you've already begun. Big journeys start before we know it. The future doesn't feel so far away. It's waiting just beyond today. Not asking me to rush, only asking me to stay brave. And standing here beneath the stars, I finally understand. The future doesn't feel so far away. It's arriving as I am. Some people only know the headlines, the current chapter, the latest draft. Others remember forgotten dreams and names I don't use anymore. They witnessed awkward beginnings before confidence moved in. Back when every future seemed impossible and every answer felt far away. History creates its own language. The friends who know the older versions of me carry pieces of my story. They remember who I was before I knew who I'd become. Years may change the scenery, but some connections stay the same. The friends who know the older versions of me still know my name. A single memory can restart an entire season of life, and somehow they're always there, holding details I'd forgotten. Time has added new chapters, but never erased the old ones. The distance between then and now feels smaller around them. friends who know the older versions of me make the years feel connected, turning scattered memories into one long conversation. And every road I've traveled looks brighter looking back. The friends who know the older versions of me helped build that path. There was a younger version of me, convinced she had to earn every kindness, measuring her worth against impossible standards nobody could realistically meet. She carried questions alone longer than she should have, thinking strength meant silence and certainty meant success. I wish she could see me now, becoming the person I needed back then. Patient where fear used to live, gentle with mistakes instead of keeping score. Learning how to offer myself what I searched for everywhere else. Becoming the person I needed back then feels like healing in reverse. The years didn't provide perfection, they offered perspective instead, showing me that compassion can be stronger than criticism. What once felt like weakness now feels like wisdom, and the voice inside my head has finally learned a different language. Growth can sound surprisingly kind. Becoming the person I needed back then might be my favorite achievement. Not because everything is easy, but because everything is real. And somewhere that younger version would finally breathe easier. Becoming the person I needed back then brought her here. People often talk about turning points as if life changes overnight, like everything suddenly becomes clear in a single perfect scene. That wasn't how it happened here. No lightning strike, no revelation, just countless ordinary choices stacking themselves together. The transformation was subtle. There was no big moment, no dramatic line in the sand, just gradual movement toward the person I am. 1,000 quiet decisions working behind the scenes. There was no big moment, only steady change in me. Confidence arrived moments, patience grew without applause. Lessons settled into place long after they were learned. The distance accumulated slowly until one day I looked around and realized the landscape didn't feel the same. Most growth happens out of you. There was no big moment, and somehow that's beautiful, because becoming someone new turned out to be gradual. Now I trust the little steps more than I ever did before. There was no big moment, just an opening door. Nobody remembers how it started. That's probably part of the reason. One comment led to another, then everything completely unraveled. Every attempt to explain it only made it worse. The room became impossible for anyone trying to stay serious. The moment escaped all control. We were all laughing too hard, trying and failing to breathe. Every sentence made it funnier than the one before it. The kind of happiness that arrives without asking permission. We were all laughing too hard, and it felt magnificent. Tears appeared before logic returned. Chairs moved, drinks almost spilled. Someone couldn't finish a story without starting over twice. The world outside kept moving, but none of us noticed. Busy existing entirely inside that ridiculous moment. Joy can be wonderfully unreasonable. We were all laughing too hard, and somehow that's enough to turn an average evening into something unforgettable. Years from now we'll still remember how impossible it was to stop. We were all laughing too hard, and that's the whole point. The morning started all wrong. Nothing landed where it should. Every plan arrived with complications. Every step felt out of sync. I considered calling it a loss before noon had even passed. Certain the day had chosen what kind of story it would be. Turns out I spoke too soon. Some days deserve a second chance, a different look, a little time, a chance to become something better than the first few hours imply. The ending doesn't always resemble the way things first begin. Some days deserve a second chance, and today was one of them. The conversation shifted everything. A laugh broke through the noise. The weight I'd carried all morning gradually disappeared. Small good things started arriving, one after another, until the whole direction changed without making a big announcement. Not every rough beginning predicts the ending. Some days deserve a second chance before we write them off, before we decide they are and what they're not. And now the sunset feels brighter because of where it began. Some days deserve a second chance more often than we think. Halfway through the original plan, something didn't feel quite right. The direction made sense on paper, but not inside my chest. For years I thought commitment meant never turning around, as if changing course somehow proved I'd gotten something wrong. Then I learned a better lesson. I changed my mind and it worked out fine. The sky didn't fall apart. The world kept spinning happily, and so did my heart. Turns out flexibility can be a kind of strength. I changed my mind and it worked out fine, better than I could have guessed. New opportunities appeared where old expectations ended. Different roads introduced themselves once I stopped forcing one. What felt like a detour turned into the right direction, simply because I listened instead of insisting. Growth sometimes sounds like reconsidering. I changed my mind and it worked out fine. Now I trust myself more. Not every closed door means failure. Sometimes it's just another door. And looking back, I'm grateful for the courage to adjust. I changed my mind and it worked out fine because I learned to trust. Nobody seemed interested in carrying yesterday around. Smiles arrived before introductions and stayed longer than expected. The energy spread through the room without needing an explanation. One laugh became five more, then the whole place joined in. The mood was wonderfully contagious. Everybody was in a good mood, and somehow that changed everything. Simple moments felt brighter, simple words carried weight. The world looked easier from that perspective. Everybody was in a good mood, and I wanted it to stay. Ha 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 ha. Stories landed perfectly, jokes found their audience. Even the smallest interactions carried a little spark. The day seemed determined to cooperate with everyone, like it had secretly decided to be kind for a while. Joy has a way of multiplying. Everybody was in a good mood, and the feeling followed me home. Long after the moment ended, the warmth remained. Some days become memorable for reason impossible to explain. Everybody was in a good mood, and that was enough. topic drifted into another, like rivers finding different bends. The hours slip between our sentences without asking to be noticed. Streetlights surrendered to morning, while neither of us looked away. Every story opened a doorway into something unexpected. Time forgot to interrupt us. Somehow we talked until sunrise, without running out of things to say. The night kept unfolding around us, darkness gave way. Every thought felt lighter the moment it found the air. Somehow we talked until sunrise and ended up somewhere rare. Dreams we'd never spoken loud finally stepped into the room. Old fears became smaller once they were shared. The horizon slowly brightened, beyond conversation still alive, and the world seemed gentler than it had the evening before. Certain connections make time disappear. Somehow we talked until sunrise, and neither of us planned it. A thousand little moments turned into something lasting. Now every dawn reminds me of how that night began. Somehow we talked until sunrise, and I'm still smiling from it. Thursday felt like 3 Thursdays. Friday took forever too. Every clock seemed determined to move slower than usual. Then suddenly the evening opened like curtains before a show, and all the pressure I was carrying forgot to follow me home. The timing couldn't be better. The weekend arrived right on time, like sunshine after cloudy skies, like laughter breaking through a serious room before it gets too quiet. No grand plans are necessary, the freedom itself feels fine. The weekend arrived right on time, and so did peace of mind. Messages start finding their way in, ideas appear out of nowhere. The city feels a little friendlier, the air a little lighter. Possibility replaces routine without asking permission, and the next 2 days stretch ahead wide open and bright. Some rewards come every 7 days. The weekend arrived right on time, exactly when I needed it, turning obligations into background noise and making space to breathe again. For now, that's more than enough. For now, that's everything. The weekend arrived right on time and brought its own kind of spring. The future used to feel hidden behind a wall of unanswered questions. feels more like a landscape waiting beyond the next hill. I don't know every detail, and strangely that feels comforting. The unknown has lost its sharp edges and gained a sense of wonder. Trust arrived before certainty. Tomorrow looks good from here, not because I know the ending, but because I finally believe in the road between. Every step keeps building something I can't fully see. Tomorrow looks good from here, and that's enough for me. Possibilities gather quietly around choices made today. The smallest acts of courage create directions of their own. What once felt distant now feels within reach, like sunrise beginning its climb long before the sky turns gold. Faith sometimes sounds like moving forward. Tomorrow looks good from here, brighter than it used to seem, filled with unwritten chapters and unfinished dreams. And standing at this moment, I finally understand. Tomorrow looks good from here, exactly where I am. The schedule didn't follow instructions. The weather changed its mind twice. A few plans wandered off course before they had the chance to begin. Nothing looked especially remarkable, nothing belonged in a movie. Yet something about the ordinary felt exactly right. Maybe enough can be enough. I didn't need the perfect day to feel grateful for the hours. I didn't need every detail to land exactly where I thought. The beauty lived in what was real, not what I imagined instead. I didn't need the perfect day to go to sleep content. Tiny victories gathered quietly without asking for attention. A simple conversation lingered longer than expected. time I had already decided this would be another ordinary day. Nothing dramatic on the horizon, nothing worth writing down. Then a series of tiny surprises started changing the atmosphere, one after another arriving without making much noise. The smallest things kept adding up. Nobody told me Wednesdays could be this good, turning routine into something bright. Nothing extraordinary happened, yet everything felt right. Like finding sunshine where I expected clouds, or laughter where there should have been stress. Nobody told me Wednesdays could be this good, but I'm glad they didn't. Conversations landed effortlessly. The afternoon moved at the perfect speed. Even unfinished plans felt lighter than they had the day before. What looked like a regular page turned into a favorite chapter, simply because I paid attention long enough to notice. Some days quietly exceed expectations. Nobody told me Wednesdays could be this good, and maybe that's the secret. The best moments often arrive without announcing themselves. Now every ordinary weekday feels full of possibility. Nobody told me Wednesdays could be this good until it happened to me. The evening started with a simple idea. Nothing ambitious, nothing grand, just enough to fill a few hours before another ordinary night. Then one suggestion led somewhere else. A wrong turn became a better route. The schedule quietly disappeared, and nobody seemed to mind. The best stories don't follow outlines. Somehow the plan got better the moment we stopped protecting it. Every unexpected decision added something to the picture. What began as almost nothing turned into something we'll remember. Somehow the plan got better than anything we planned together. Time moved faster than expected. New ideas kept arriving. The night built itself naturally without needing directions. Every coincidence contributed. Every surprise found its place. As if the whole evening preferred improvisation over certainty. Sometimes life writes stronger endings. Somehow the plan got better because we left room for possibility. Because we stopped asking the future to explain itself immediately. And looking back, it's obvious the detours made it whole. Somehow the plan got better the moment we let it go.